fire. Politics ebeye me na boka fire. Politics ebeye me ki boka fire. Ena munogwe ma ogwe.
Every story has a beginning and an end. But what happens in between is really all that matters. Born on June 26, 1976 in a Poma Brass local government area of Den River State, into the family of Chief and Mrs. W.G. Watson, E.T. Alfred Belemote Watson grew up to become a man of repute and a passionate leader who found it easy to win the hearts of his people.
Because he's a young man who do not rest on his oars, he had this very strong aspiration and desire to serve his people. And of course, he also knows that the people also love him, because I'm sure he has done enough to deserve the people's love. And he tested the love he has for the people and the love he thinks that the people have for him. And this is the result.
His journey into the Bayelsa State House of Assembly began when he saw a vacuum that needed to be filled. His people had been neglected and sought better representation at the State House of Assembly.
Belemote Alfred Watson.
Since the inception of democracy, it has just been a one-way traffic from findings. So we came up with the decision to contest so as to give our people a very good representation and to give democracy a real definition.
Having shown his philanthropic side to his people with several development programs for youth and children, the support he needed for this mission was readily available.
He has rented houses for us, he has bought us books and textbooks to go to school with. So I think on that ground he has done a lot of things for most of us who are schooling. But let me also go down to those of us who are also in our various constituency, from the primary school down to the secondary school. He has also shown his philanthropic nature. Then he has got them school uniform, got them textbooks. He has also fed them. So from that angle, I think our support has not been in vain. Believe in him and continue.
He is a product that sold very well. If you have to sell him, 100% people will buy him in my constituency. It's a grassroots. It's not just a sit in one city kind of politician. It's somebody that knows the people. He dines with the people. He plays with the people. He moves around with the people. He talks with them. They know him very well. His father is a chief in the community, in one of the communities there. So he's not a stranger, not an alien. He's part of us. He grew up there. So people know him, that they know that, okay, this one is their own. So it was very, very easy for them to identify with him. So the acceptance is seriously overwhelming. And I think for him to get the mandate is a manifestation of the acceptance of the people that they showered on him.
After a critical and wide consultation, he officially presented himself to serve his people, seeking their mandates under the platform of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) in 2013. But despite his popularity and love shown by his people, the journey under the Bayelsa State ruling party was rough and rugged, marred by politics of so many biased interests. The PDP ticket moved from one candidate to another. This display of ineptitude by the PDP and the burning desire to serve his people led Watson Alfred to continue his mission under the platform of the All Progressive Grand Alliance on December 9, 2014. His determination to bring the dividends of democracy to his people was unrelented.
Steps of the people, of the candidates, they felt he was having the better dance steps, so they followed him. That is kind of a metaphorical. Let me just come very clear. Now, we looked more on his personality than the party affiliations. You understand what I mean? His personality in the sense that he has this accommodating spirit, he is very kind. If I go by his antecedent, he has this force of unity. Each time he's around, there are a lot of activities in the community. I remember when he sponsored a whole lot of sporting activities for youths. in order to bring out their hidden talents. He sponsored also beauty pageants, ladies in the wards, in the constituency coming to exhibit their traits as women. You understand what I mean? He's feeding the elderly, organizing a Medicare for the old ones. A whole lot of activities he had done. So all these things alone, they spoke volume when he came to say, okay, give me your mandate. And besides, if somebody is doing all these things without a mandate, what if we give him the mandate? I think he's going to do more. I think to a large extent that is what actually made people to vote for him, other than the names of big parties. I wouldn't want to call them here. Yeah, thank you.
And one most important thing that you must notice about this election that is yet untold is that it is not only about Habga. It's not about politics alone. It's the nature of the man that spoke. The people spoke, and I think, and the world listens. Habga is a combination of PDP, APC, and those who have not voted before. It shows the nature of him. It shows the kind of person he has been. So people came out in mass because of the love they have for him. It's not about money. It's not about political careers and all that. But it's a man who believes that you have to grow. It's a man who believes that there should be peace. A man who recognizes the potentials of the youth. It's a man who believes in the potentials of education. And people saw it as that he's a sellable candidate among every other candidate. And that is why, from all prediction and every horde, he came out victorious.
Compared to other candidates that fielded themselves, he was the best. The best in the sense that, like I said earlier, he always has the interest of his people at heart. He is not selfish.
To achieve his victory and objective, the Belemote campaign organization was inaugurated and mandated to assist him bring the quality change his people deserved, led by Chief Seyefa Felix Mbapagayon.
But when you see these qualities in a man, and of course a God-fearing person, I cannot but refuse the offer that came my way by way of coming to meet or midwife the campaign organization to conclusion.
The Belemote campaign organization took the responsibility of spreading the quality change mantra through the horizons of Brass Constituency 2 and beyond. Like a wildfire, the spread was from ward to ward, community to community, door to door, and echoed through the entire Brass local government area.
The bottom line is that he has an ideology in going into politics. He wants to change the tempo of issues. Change is the order of the day, but I think his own message is quality change and not just ordinary change. A change in the positive direction. A change in an area of education, change in the area of our social life, change in the area of infrastructural development.
On July 18, 2014, while on a trip to Okpoma with supporters and members of the Belemote campaign organization, the group was attacked by gunmen on the high sea, an incident which led to the loss of 2 members of the Belemote campaign organization, Awo Iyabi and Idibikuma Bukuromo. The incident also kept Belemote Watson in the hospital for weeks with an injured left arm with bullet wound. This unfortunate incident led many to believe it was the end of the road for him, but it was only the beginning. Belemote's doggedness and passion would let nothing hold him down or derail him from his goal. With prayers from his people and God's hand on his life, he sprang up in no time to continue the race that will eventually bring quality change to the people of Brass Constituency 2.
He's a man who gets what he believes in.
You know, I have a guiding principle. As he that has God with him is always on the majority party. So I always pitch my tent in the shelter of God. So that's where my inspiration comes from. And I've never, at any point in time, lost any hope. I would rather be an inspiration to my supporters. When I see them wavering, when I see them feebling, I say, guy, cool down, we have God on our side. So, and kudos to my pastor, Pastor Danny Ken, who has been very, very instrumental together with some other persons. But I must say, God was at it. So I never at any point in time lost hope, because I know God was my chief pilot.
Seeking an elective position from a minority party in Nigeria is indeed a daunting challenge. But that was not the case for Alfred Belemote Watson. His radiating personality and philanthropic antecedents preceded him.
When I joined his campaign team, he was the only person I knew. And because it was him, I know that it would be difficult for any other candidate to defeat him in an elective position. Because before he even announced his intention to contest, he has shown this philanthropic life to the people across the constituency. He has been giving scholarship, he has been feeding the aged, he has been feeding the widows, he has been doing a lot of things. So he had already won the election even before he declared his intention to contest the election. So I looked at the candidates when they came and I said, this is already victory for us. At that point in time, even if my father had declared his intention to contest, I would not be.
We have actually looked for a voice that will be outstanding in the house. And for me, he best suits from among the lot that came out, he best suits that for me. I want a voice, and in him I see a voice that is going to sound very loud.
Although he was contesting against some bigwigs of the ruling PDP and strongest APC oppositions, his victory was imminent because the generality of his constituents took their destinies in their hands by massively supporting and voting their preferred candidates against all odds. With the support of his people and a massive campaign led by Chief Seyefa Felix Papaganyon, Honorable Alfred Belemote Watson was declared winner as member representing Brass Constituency 2 at the Bayelsa State House of Assembly on June 6, 2015, under the All Progressive Grand Alliance.
Watson Alfred Belemote of ABGA, having satisfied the requirements of the law and scored the highest number of votes, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. The signature is there.
It's a very good battle. But indeed, he has proved that he who employs his services never go defeated. So I give him all the glory. I feel very happy. I feel very great.
The opposing PDP candidate, not satisfied with the results, even though his supporters disrupted the election with violence and snatching of election materials, quickly proceeded to seek a redress at the Election Petition Tribunal in Yenagoa. An action which left the people of Brass Constituency 2 without representation at the Bayelsa State House of Assembly for months to come. Upon careful examination of counsels of both the petitioner and respondents, the judges unanimously dismissed the petition for lack of merit and upheld the victory of Alfred Belemote Watson as winner of the June 6, 2015 Bayelsa State House of Assembly elections in Brass Constituency 2. Still dissatisfied with the verdict, the petitioner further proceeded to the Court of Appeal in Port Harcourt. This was a dark time for Alfred Watson, members of the Belemote campaign organization and their supporters, as the tribunal never seemed to arrive at a final verdict. But Belemote led his people on, lighting up the candle of hope for his constituents and supporters.
I saw the strength in him And then I realized that he's a leader. He has this leadership spirit in him.
Yeah, the litigation process, I think very much uncalled for, but all the same is part of the processes, so we have to pass through. But we thank God for the victory, not only at the tribunal, but also at the appeal court, that led to him being declared, or should I say the court upholding the victory that he had originally on June 6, 2015. And here, seriously talking about the psychology of the group, yes, it was a little bit down, but one thing I have noticed in Honorable Alfred Belemote is that he has a very strong psychology. That one actually helped a lot of people to put themselves together, because each time you call him, it's very positive, it's very optimistic in his approach to things, even when things are not going too well. You understand? So this is actually a leader that transcends the people. You see, it sees beyond a particular or an immediate issue. It looks at the future, seeing that okay, with the trend of issues, definitely I'm going to win. So why do I bother myself today because of the small hiccups we're having, and instead of relying on the future? So I think he transcends beyond all of us at that time, and each time you speak with him, he's having this positivity all over him, and that one actually keeps us going. I think
the journey so far so good. It's good, but I must say it wasn't an easy ride. It wasn't a stroll in the park at all. You know, having some big weeks, as in having coming from the minority to fight and the ocean of the majorities. We have the APC, we have the PDP. You know what it takes. But we just thank God that the grace of God at the end of the day prevailed. It was never an easy ride at all.
On February 10, 2016, the judges of the appellate court also upheld judgments of the tribunal and further declared Watson Belemote Alfred winner of the said election. Victory was indeed here for a man whom God's hand is upon and who stayed steadfast in service to God despite the challenges. Alfred Belemote Watson finally received a certificate of return.
I can't say I felt fulfilled. I felt fulfilled. You know, when you aim at a destination and the journey to some extent was stagnated, and at the end of the day you saw a smooth sailing, you will just return the glory to God. So I know that it was all God. There's nothing I have to say, it was all God. I'm happy we are here today.
For inexplicable reasons, after his victory was upheld, the leadership of the Bayelsa State House of Assembly refused to swear in Alfred Belemote Watson and two other colleagues who also got victories at the tribunal. But because the love and acceptance for Belemote had transcended beyond his people, there were a series of protests from constituents, media houses, activist groups, and a large number of Bayelsans. Eventually, an order from the Chief Justice of Nigeria led to the swearing-in of Alfred Belemote Watson as member representing Brass Constituency 2 in the Bayelsa State House of Assembly on April 28, 2016, 10 months and 3 weeks after his original victory.
Because we all know what the young man has gone through, from tribunal to appeal court. Even when the certificate was given to him, the government did not want to swear him in until there were superior interventions.
Celebrations are inevitable in times like this. It was a journey filled with dark patches, but the light is always at the end of the tunnel. It may interest you to know that Belemote Watson once worked as a security guard before his university education. He worked as a personal assistant to former Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Bayelsa State, Chief Nathan Egba Ologo, and briefly as a marketer with Bayelsa State Broadcasting Corporation, Radio Bayelsa, before exploring the busy waters of Bayelsa State politics. He is the MD and CEO of Odudu & Sons and married to beautiful Augusta Watson. He is now a legislator at the Bayelsa State House of Assembly, representing Brass Constituency 2. But what next after now?
The assembly is just a stepping stone to bigger political offices. Sometimes it may not be an elected position, but the way you walk will endear you to others who will come up and say, yes, let us try this man in a bigger position. Assembly will not, I believe that it will not just be a member. There are bigger positions that will come, you understand. There's also position of speaker. I also expect that as time goes on, I may be the speaker. You can go to House of Reps. You can go to Senate.
This is only a springboard for him to catapult himself to a higher level. I don't see him just limiting himself to just acts of assembly. At the end of the day, he's still young anyway. He's going to grow in the ladder of politics of Bayelsa State, but I see him going beyond Bayelsa State. The kind of qualities he have, I think, is very suited for the politics of Nigeria generally.
I think is a stepping stone, because I see for him greater things, and I would not advise him in any way or manner to begin to see being in the State House of Assembly as so big that he gets overwhelmed and thinks that he had gotten to the heights of what he can achieve. I think that he can achieve a whole lot more, for himself and for the people that he represents, and perhaps even for the whole of Bayelsa State, because I think that there's a lot that God has imbued him with.
To whom much is given, much is expected. Alfred Belemote Watson is a politician with a difference, and his days as a legislator will speak for him.
Because it is one thing to be an honorable member or a political office holder, and it's another thing for you to know the pains of your people. When you have somebody who has the people in his heart at all time, and then he knows where it pains. Of course, you don't really need to be, thinking around, because he already knows what is good for his people, and he's there to see that his people are taken to the next level.
I expect him to continue the way he has been relating with the people. For me, being a representative does not make any different from the people. He has been chosen out of the thousands that are members of the constituency. It does not make him the best, but he has been privileged to be chosen, so I expect him to continue in that amiable manner, to continue relating with the people, not separating himself from the people, keep reaching out to the people. I don't expect anything less from him, because he has a future that is bright, he has a future that is, he has got integrity, and he has to protect it. The people must benefit by way of him coming back from time to time, getting in touch with the people. That is what I expect of him.
In his tenure in the House of Assembly, I expect him to represent his people effectively. Because there is a difference between representing your people and representing your people effectively. You will represent your people effectively when you bring their problems to the fore, to the attention of government. What they need, what they lack, how you think the government can go about solving their problems. He is the bridge between the grassroots, his constituents, and the government.
First of all, we expect high quality service, because we from Brass constituency too, we have been lucky in a way to have operated closer to government in Bayelsa State by virtue of the fact that our own son, Chief Timothy Silva, was once a governor of the Bayelsa State. So the people of that constituency knows what government itself is all about. They are quite conversant with the intricacies of government. And so they know that if a representative works hard enough and does the things that they should do, he will be able to bring or attract development, and be it in terms of physical development, be it in terms of human capital development, and so on and so forth to the area. So he has a very high challenge. Remember, the last occupant of the position that he has assumed just now spent 3 tenures. In other words, people are good at rewarding hard work.
Never despise your days of little beginning, because the sky remains your starting point.
The responsibility I have is to bring the electioneering promises to bear. Try as much as I can, work with the leadership of the House, go outside of the box, do legitimate things to see how they can feel the effect of my representation.
For Honorable Alfred Belemote Watson, the journey has just begun.
I